In 1949, the Soviet Union detonated its first atomic bomb. The American monopoly on nuclear weapons was over. Military planners faced an unsettling problem. Their command and communication systems were centralized. One well-placed bomb could sever the head from the body. The Strategic Air Command relied on a network designed like a wheel. If the hub broke, the spokes were useless. That problem, how to survive a nuclear exchange, led directly to the device you are watching this on right now.
A man named Paul Baran, working at the RAND Corporation, asked a different question. Not how to build a stronger network, but how to build one that assumed parts of it would be destroyed.
His answer, developed between 1960 and 1964, was something he called distributed communications. The military was not immediately interested. AT&T told him it would not work. But the idea did not die. It just waited for the right moment. In 1962, a psychologist named J.C.R. Licklider took a job at the Pentagon. He ran a small office within ARPA, the Advanced Research Projects Agency. It was called the Information Processing Techniques Office. Licklider had a problem that had nothing to do with bombs. He had researchers at universities like MIT, Berkeley, and UCLA. And each university had expensive computers, but they were all different. They could not talk to each other. If you wanted to use the computer at Stanford, you had to travel to Stanford, or wait for someone to mail you a magnetic tape. Licklider called his vision the intergalactic network. It sounded like science fiction, honestly, but he planted the seed. Meanwhile, Paul Baran's work at RAND had matured. His idea was simple, but, pretty radical. Break messages into small blocks. Send each block independently through the network. Let them find their own way. Reassemble them at the destination. He called it hot potato routing. British scientist Donald Davies later coined the term packet switching. The phone company thought this was absurd. They had spent a century building circuits that stayed connected for the duration of a call. Baran's packets had no dedicated path. They just bounced around until they found a route. But that was exactly the point. If a bomb took out a switching node, the packets would simply route around the destruction. The network would heal itself. By 1966, a man named Larry Roberts had taken over Licklider's old office at ARPA. He needed to build a network that would let researchers share computers. He read Baran's work. He realized packet switching was the only way to do it efficiently. In 1969, ARPA awarded a contract to build the first packet-switched network. It was called ARPANET. The first node went live at UCLA in September, the second at Stanford Research Institute. So, the first message ever sent on what would become the Internet was actually just two letters, L and O. They were trying to type the word login, but, well, the system crashed right after the G. Within just a few months, 4 sites were connected. Each computer was different, and honestly, each one spoke its own language. But they all agreed on one thing: to send packets. By 1983, the network had grown just too large. It was carrying military communications right alongside university research, and, that was a security risk. So, the military decided to split off its own network called Milnet. ARPANET carried on as a research network. 2 engineers, Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn, developed a common language for all the different networks to speak. They called it TCP/IP. It allowed ARPANET to talk to Milnet, to talk to packet radio networks, to talk to whatever came next. In 1986, the National Science Foundation built its own network. NSF-net, linking supercomputer centers. It used the same TCP/IP protocols. Universities rushed to connect. The network grew from a few dozen sites to thousands. In 1990, ARPANET was shut down. It had done its job. The techniques for surviving a nuclear attack had been proven in peacetime, carrying emails and file transfers instead of launch codes. The internet we use today is not what anyone planned. It was not designed for shopping or social media or streaming video. It was designed for one purpose: to keep working when things went very wrong. The Cold War gave us many things: interstates, radar, and, well, a communication network that assumes failure is inevitable. That assumption, as it turns out, ended up being useful for everything else. Paul Baran, when asked later about inventing packet switching, was modest. He said the pieces were all there. Someone just had to put them together. The next time your video call finds a way through a congested connection, or your email arrives even when a server is down, you're watching nuclear strategy in action. Just moving packets, finding a path, routing around the damage. Subscribe to War Machina and share this if you value history that goes deeper.